Power armor is worn primarily by the Space Marines, Sisters of Battle, Adeptus Custodes, and the Chaos Space Marines. It is a completely enclosed suit of armor, made of thick ceramite plates. The armor would be heavy and cumbersome to wear but for the electrically motivated fiber bundles within the armor that replicate the wearer's movement and enhance his/her strength. Power armor is fully sealed, isolating the wearer from the outside environment and protecting him from gas weapons and harsh atmospheres. It also commonly includes numerous auxiliary systems such as communicators and autosenses. The backpack contains the main power plant, environmental system and additional stabilizers. Whilst power armor is most commonly associated with the Adeptus Astartes, the Sisters of Battle and many Inquisitors also use powered armor of one sort or another. Typically, however, these armors may not contain the same strength-enhancing properties or life support functions of Space Marine power armor. Nor do they provide the same amount of protection. All armor may further be augmented by various artifacts, relics, and enhancements such as pauldrons and greaves. Power armor has been in use since before the age of the Imperium, from the techno-barbarians of Earth to the original Space Marines created by the Emperor. Over the history of the Imperium, power armor has developed into many different forms. Need, circumstances, and recovery of new materials and technology has shaped the armor's evolution. Mark I Thunder Armor. Mark I plate was developed by the techno-barbarian factions that dominated Terra prior to the Emperor's ascendancy. When the Emperor began his conquest of Earth, the Thunder Warriors, the Proto-Space Marines which formed part of his retinue, were armored in the same way as the soldiers of the other warlords. A thunderbolt and lightning symbol was displayed on the breastplate of warriors loyal to the Emperor. This was the personal badge of the Emperor in those days, predating the imperial Aquila, which only became the symbol of the Imperium much later. The emblem gives the suit its common name, Thunder Armor. Thunder Armor was not an enclosing suit and offered no life support functions, being unnecessary while the fighting was confined to Terra and the similar environments of Luna and Mars. This early armor was produced on a completely local basis, and as such individual suits varied heavily and their exact designs were often a matter of personal taste. The main part of the armor is the massive powered torso, which encloses the chest and arms. Coiled energy cables beneath the armor plating transmit power from the power pack on the back to the arms, greatly increasing physical strength by a factor of between 3 and 4 times. Since fighting on Terra during this period was primarily close quarters, the strength of a warrior's chest and arms was of paramount importance. The legs of this armor mark are typically not power armored at all, but are enclosed in tough padded breeches. The best-equipped warriors sometimes wore armored greaves and armored boots, and such additional protection was common amongst the Thunder Warriors. As with all powered armor, the power supply is contained with a notably bulky back-mounted unit, most of which is taken up by cooling systems designed to prevent the entire armor design from overheating. Although it is very rarely used in the 41st millennium, some suits of Thunder armor are maintained for ceremonial purposes. This ancient style of armor is noticeably noisier than later Marks. Mark II Crusade Armor. After the conquest of the main planets of the Sol system, the factories on Mars were set to work constructing a new type of armor for the Emperor's elite Space Marines. This armored suit is commonly referred to as Crusade Armor, since it was designed with the planned Great Crusade in mind, and its production led to the Thunder Armor being retroactively designated as the Mark I. It was the first fully enclosed power armor, with life-sustaining capabilities, making it suitable for combat on toxic alien planets and the depths of space. The Mark II pattern was standard for the Legions Astartes during most of the Great Crusade, and its helmet in particular became a symbol for the Legions Astartes throughout the Imperium. By the ending stages of the Crusade, Mark II armor had been phased out for the Mark IV, but many legions still possessed them in great numbers. In particular, legions not favored by War Master Horus or had many units spread out on the frontiers of the Imperium retained the largest amounts of Mark II armor. Crusade armor is fully plated, and the legs are also power armored. The plates are arranged into articulated hoops for increased maneuverability. The chest coils, which were kept on the outside of the armor plating on Mark I armor for cooling purposes, have now been placed on the inside of the chest plates, so that they are better protected, thanks to more efficient cooling mechanisms. However, this design could not be copied over to the new powered leg armor, which resulted in exposed cabling on the backs of the lower legs. The backpack is roughly the same size as that on the Mark I armor, but is much more efficient, and also includes extra life support, air recycling and fluid recovery equipment, as well as automated medical devices that have remained a part of Space Marine armor ever since. The helmet is fitted with automatic sensory devices developed on Mars, which allow the wearer to see and hear as though not wearing a helmet. And, since all information is transmitted to a computer in the helmet before being transmitted directly to the wearer's brain by a neural link, it enhances sight and hearing while dampening blinding lights and deafening noises. The wearer is also able to see in the infrared and ultraviolet spectrums. Images can be zoomed in and magnified while noises can be enhanced. Mark II armor is believed by many to still be the most efficient example of power armor design, although with the caveat that the overlapping hooped armor plates are difficult to repair. It can still be found in operational use in extremely limited numbers amongst several Space Marine chapters. Mark III iron armor. This model dates from the wars of the Great Crusade, when Astartes legions were forced into deadly boarding actions and tunnel combat. This armor was ideal when cover was minimal and combat was a matter of frontal assault. The most visually brutal and imposing of all the widely produced armor marks, the iron armor was a heavy, modified Mark II design, itself the first mass-produced power armor of the Crusade era. The iron armor structure has augmented frontal defense and incorporates additional ablative plates, and is intended foremost for use in boarding actions, tunnel assaults and void warfare, although it is considerably heavier and more power-hungry than its contemporaries. The new helmet design is a heavily armored model with sloping plates designed to deflect shots to the left and right, and inspired the Mark IV and VI helmet designs. Mark III was never intended to replace the previous Mark, but to act as an optional suit specialized for situations where heavier frontal protection would be advantageous, such as in the close confines of spacecraft and mining complexes. Because of this, no legion was ever fully equipped with the Mark III. While successful in the conditions it was designed for, the armor is too clumsy and uncomfortable for conventional fighting. Nonetheless, it became widespread in some legions, such as the Imperial Fists and Death Guard. Meanwhile, the Dark Angels and Space Wolves also favored the design. Perhaps due to its more bellicose nature, the Mark III is sometimes worn by ceremonial guards due to its visual brutality, and can also still be found used in close-quarters situations by various Space Marine chapters. It is commonly called the Iron Suit or Armorum Ferrum in recognition of its great strength.